Hey, all my fellow Librans, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Teri Hunter. I'm an intuitive astrologer, and I'm here today with your December 2024 monthly horoscope. These horoscopes are based on whole sign Western astrology. So when I refer to Libra, I'm referring to Libra rising and the first house. Libra rising is the first house. This is also applicable to Libra sun and Libra moon. And if you have 3 or more personal planets in the sign of Libra, this video is for you as well. When I refer to a time and a day, it's based on the Pacific time zone, so please adjust for your location. The month starts off with, we just finished a new moon in Sagittarius on the 30th of November. Then we're going to see Mars retrograde until February 2025. We will see Neptune go direct in Pisces and start to finish up the journey there. It's going to tip its toe in Aries in March, and then it will retrograde back into Pisces for the last time. We will see Mercury go direct in Sagittarius. We will have a full moon in Gemini. We will see Jupiter square Saturn for the second time. These are the highlights of the month. And now let's pull up the chart and look at the specifics. For me, one of the biggest things I think that's going on is the continued dance between Pluto and Mars. I think that this is significant because Pluto and Mars are co-rulers of Scorpio. So they have their own conversation and their own battle for dominance, I guess, in some ways. Now, this is a loose opposition, but in a few days, we're going to see Mars go retrograde. And while Mars enjoys being in Leo, Mars feels very uncomfortable once it gets back into Cancer. Now, Cancer is your 10th house, the most public viewed house in the Zodiac. So Mars is going to be tasked to go into some sort of energy where it really looks at how it is nurturing leadership skills, potentially receiving the feminine energy, how you process the maternal energy in your life. I started this wheel at 2 a.m. so that you would see that Libra is the first house. And whenever we're looking at an axis, we're looking at a relationship. So while Mars is currently in the house of your hopes and your dreams, as it retrogrades, it's going to come under this influence of Pluto, digging deep into the psychology of how you were raised. And with a Capricorn fourth house, you could feel that the relationship was, or the home life was rather dry, or it was restrictive in some way, limiting, didn't allow for you to truly be who you are and expand yourself. And I think also that's been playing around in the background for Libra is the South Node going through your first house. And for me as an intuitive astrologer, it's saying, are you willing to be egoless to your own wants and desires, your own personal perceptions of things? And the North Node has been asking and stretching for this sense of peace and harmony with your own individuality. So I think that this is a powerful beginning of the month in the sense of with Pluto and Mars opposing each other. We saw this first with Pluto and Capricorn. Now Pluto's going into Aquarius. So the energy is similar yet very different. And I think this is going to reveal itself in many ways and liberate you and bring out your own sense of a 2.0 version. You might even on some level find yourself taking your childhood or taking your home experience and parlaying it into something that feels like it helps the collective, or it, as you process your own personal dynamic, it sort of stretches you into a community or into a friendship base that feels aligned to the 2.0 version of you, Libra. Okay, so now let's go to, oh, hold on a second. Look where I'm going. Oh, we're going to see on the 6th. This is the day before Mars retrogrades, Venus is in a conjunction with Pluto. And at the time, Mars is stationing now. So while Mars is still, I'm going to change this to, let's say, 4 p.m. for now, because we'll start to see that as we get later in the day, we've got Mars retrograding here on the 6th. And this is a stationing. This is where Mars is kind of sitting in the sky like this. And Mars in Leo is wanting to express its personal opinion, express its creativity. You know, it's very passionate in Leo. And this underbelly of whatever Pluto is bringing up is tasking Mars to ask itself, do I really believe? Do I really believe that I am as talented, as gifted, as pretty, as handsome, as flush, as financially capable? It's going to ask you a lot of questions, and it's going to dig deep into things about your self-worth and about your money and about your skills. And as Venus will leave this energy, okay, she represents the feminine here and the feminine underbelly that Pluto is tasking Mars through this next retrograde to address and to balance. At the same time, we see Jupiter and Mars are both in detriment. I'm sorry, Jupiter and Mercury are both in detriment, opposing each other right now. And the Mercury is just about to retrograde. It's been retrograding over the great attractor. Pardon me for slipping over my words, because Mercury's in retrograde as I film this. Because this is powerful. This is a kind of a flip of the script. So here we have Mars and Pluto tasking this belief underbelly, whatever the toxicity is, the anger, the resentment. What are you going to do with it? Now, Mercury and Jupiter are like, okay, how am I going to learn from this? How am I going to expand from this? How am I going to grow from this? How am I going to turn this into a tool that shifts my everyday experience? So Jupiter in detriment in Gemini, and Gemini is your 9th house of belief. So this is an interesting dynamic, because while Jupiter is in detriment in Gemini, it is in the natural 9th house. And the same thing goes for Mercury. While it's in detriment in Sagittarius, it's in the natural 3rd house. So these two planets are having to flip the script on how they look at things. And Jupiter's having to come down off the hill, kind of really think about how humans roll. What is the actual apparatus? You know, Jupiter could be so expansive and so connected to the divine that it forgets that there's a human, you know, you cannot fly. No matter how much you want, you can flap your arms all you want. You are not designed to fly. There's gravity, and Jupiter needs to recognize those rules. In the same thing, Mercury gets to recognize that those rules don't define you and that you can expand beyond them by using your mind to focus in on what you want. And then by doing that, allow the universe to attract in the elements, the people, the resources you need to experience that. So this growing opposition going on back and forth is really very powerful for balance. And the sun, while it's there on this particular day, the sun will clearly move on, but it might illuminate your ego on this day. Okay, let's move on to, I think we'll go to Neptune turns direct on the 7th. So we could go there. We can see Neptune goes direct. Now, the thing that's important about Neptune going direct at this particular time, again, every planet stations before it actually moves forward or appears to move forward. But what we're seeing here is in those last degrees of Neptune are a growing conjunction with the North Node, and Saturn's going to start to pick up speed, and these 3 points are going to meet. And this is going to be very significant in 2025. We're going to start to feel it. And Saturn is in a growing square to Jupiter. This is going to be the 2nd square. It's going to revisit things that happened back in August of 2024. Again, Jupiter is in your 9th house, and Pisces is your 6th house of work, of your health, of how you roll your everyday activities. Now, the growing square for me and the Saturn's whole journey through Pisces, especially at this particular time for humanity, is building a strong foundation with your Piscean energy. Rather than trying to escape, it's about building things that are sustainable and being willing to look at what is truly sustainable, not sustainable for the other person, but sustainable for you. And what you are capable of or what you want for you. We also see that we have an exact conjunction between Venus and Pluto. Now, for me, the energies here, Venus has taken on a practicality here. And she's taken on a willingness to look to the future, to allow her unique expression to be birthed into her life experience, because she wants to help the collective be more authentic and be more accepting of other people's authenticity. This to me is a kind of theme that she plays when she's in Aquarius. And as she's been traveling through these two houses of Capricorn and Aquarius, the emotion that she feels is very different. So here she's tasked to even go deeper into her motives. And I think that while this is not a tight opposition, the power of this opposition is bringing up some very deep-seated and subconscious influences that are helping you make your decisions or influencing how you make your decisions. So just be aware, because again, the holidays are already stressful, So this could also be exasperated because of that. Let's go now to the 11th. Now we see Venus. Venus is in a very strong conversation here with Mars. She has kind of recognized in some ways some of the things that hit her, where there's been power and control over her. Because if sometimes when Venus wants an idea to be birthed, she will allow influences around her that aren't always authentic. And we see that happen when she's in Scorpio in her detriment, because she will allow things that she intuitively knows to happen. Here, I think she doesn't want to do that anymore. And this is the conversation between Mars, because here's Mars in your 11th house of hopes and dreams, and having to revisit those hopes and dreams and how am I going about getting them. You may also find yourself revisiting friendships or friendship based social platforms. You may be revisiting how you think about the collective here of humanity and how you want to help nurture that moving forward. And I say the word nurture because I think as Mars moves back into Cancer in your 10th house, we're going to see you really starting to take on a more public persona of caring and being a maternal energy for whatever it is you want to put your focus in on. Okay, there will be a full moon in Gemini on the 15th, and I'm going to do a separate video on that, but Mercury will also move direct at 6 degrees of Sagittarius. And, I don't want to continue to repeat myself, but this is where Mercury has an opportunity again to expand the way there's thinking, to reach higher realms of connection to the divine. We also see on the day that it goes direct, it's making a nice aspect here to Mars retrograding. So brave thought, willing to be expansive, think like outside the box to my individuality. Again, that sort of Leo energy is very individualistic. While Leo for you is your 11th house, there's like an overlay of the Leo kingly energy and then the first house Mars self energy and thinking for the self. Thinking for the self. Venus will be in a trine to Jupiter for a couple of days, which is going to be very nice for us. We see Jupiter here and Venus is here in Aquarius. Aquarius is your 5th house of your individuality, your creativity, the conception of children. We do see Jupiter growing. That square between Saturn and Jupiter is getting pretty tight now. It's within 1 degree. But again, that square to me is about sort of taking that Saturnian energy and building a strong foundation with my creativity, my divinity, the bigger part of my soul that lives beyond this human experience, and also being aware of my tendency to want to escape when things don't feel peaceful or harmonic, or I'm not viewed as peaceful and harmonic. South Node going through the first house of Libra will ask you to be egoless to other people's opinions of how you are, because if their opinion of you is only favorable when you're doing what they want, you could be finding these relationships are no longer sustainable, which is what is happening with the Mars and Pluto opposition, because something is coming up from the underbelly. We also see that this beautiful aspect here is favorable for money and expansion. So there's kind of like this willingness to create what is sustainable, may be difficult, but yet at the same time, that difficult portion will bring benefit on the backside. Oops. I love recording when I'm Mercury retrograde, because at my age and at the way I do these, the last minute retrogrades really work me over. But I appreciate your patience, Libra. Okay, so you will feel the Venus trine to Jupiter from about the 19th to the 22nd. And again, even though Jupiter is retrograde, these are expansive, and they're expansive for money, for belief, for implementing in the everyday world. The sun will enter Capricorn on the 21st. And as the sun enters Capricorn, it makes a bit of a square over here to the nodes. And I think that this, while this is a temporary a transit, the sun moves very quickly. The sun in Capricorn is dutiful. It is a leader, and it's squaring the nodes. And that is where your first house is lit up to be egoless. Here we are, it's ahead of Christmas. And I just feel like you get to ask yourself, Libra, if the things, the actions you're taking, the presents you're buying, the food you're making, the parties you're going to, are they authentic to your wants and needs, or are they somewhere obligatory and expected? And how can you, in a harmonious way, create that which you need for you versus continuing to give into that which other people want you to be? It's the best way I can put it. On the 24th, the day before Christmas, or Christmas Eve, many people celebrate Christmas on Christmas Eve. We see the exact square here between, and again, that's the second time. You can go back to August of 2024, around mid-month, when it was exact. At that time, Jupiter was direct and Saturn was retrograde. So now we're revisiting the square, but the power has shifted, where Saturn is the more powerful and the focal point, because we can see Mercury is direct and it's at 11 degrees, starting to move forward, and it will move and meet with the great attractor. So in a day or two, Christmas Day or the day after. So that focal point of Saturn is creating that super strong building, cathedral with your spirituality and your creativity in that house that is so, so pivotal to your health. Because what you do in your work environment or in your creativity or in your self-expression directly affects your health. That's why Libra has a Pisces sixth house. The way that you honor yourself, the way that you allow yourself to feel compassion and empathy, and yet not become enslaved to something that's out of balance for you. And that's what Saturn is doing, asking you to create sustainable situations with your everyday experience and your everyday practice of connecting with your soul, and how your soul wants to express itself in this physical experience. Okay, and that could be very well indicated by your personal nodal structure and your Chiron. So you might want to check that out in your own chart. We will see a new moon in Capricorn on the 30th. I'll do a separate video for that. And and let's go. I'm going to go to the end of the year, because this is where we see our Mars and Pluto they are in that strong opposition with Pluto moving direct and Mars moving retrograde. Mars is trying the nodes at that 0 degree. I think this is pivotal, karmic for you. Leo is, again, your 11th house of hopes and dreams. We see the nodes are going through your 1st and 7th houses, the house of the self, the me, and then the house of the you or the partner. And the two me's make a we. So as the North Node becomes conjunct Neptune, you have a real spiritual calling to stretch yourself, to be who you are, to be a bit of a pioneer and individualistic, to do things with passion and with fire. And even though it's not easy sometimes to look at the people that we love around us and kind of put up a bit of a screen door about their input about what we're doing, because as the South Node moves into your 12th house, you're going to get an opportunity to truly be egoless, to some karmic self criticism or perfectionism, or where you are critical of others, where you have a habit of being, the shadow side of Virgo can be very, very hard on itself. And then we're seeing the North Node going into your 6th house, and it's going to be an opportunity to stretch for that real sense of your soul's expression in your everyday practice. So this opposition is no joke. We felt it earlier in 2024. It's been kind of a running theme that's been going on, because Mars takes about 2 months to move through a sign. So as it started to come into that opposition, Pluto was still in Capricorn. Now Pluto's moved, and then Mars is going to experience Pluto in Aquarius. Pluto is going to be rebellious. Pluto is going to be wanting to liberate. Pluto is going to want to look to the future. And Mars is not going to be able to hide in the seas of Cancer. It's going to have to learn how to float and how to let go of resentments and let go of old stories that won't be fixed as long as you're looking at the old story. Okay, that's it for my Libras for December 2024. My name is Teri Hunter. If you'd like to book a reading with me, my information is below in the description. I can tell you all the different services I have. I want to wish you a happy new year and a happy holiday. Please like, please subscribe, please share, and come back in January. We'll see you soon, Libra. Bye-bye.